Hello and welcome to Den of Fools. My name is Fox and you're watching the 40k Stats Show. Let's jump right in. In week 47 of 2022, we had 78 tournaments, 1,316 players, with 2,368 games played. This week, Chaos Space Marines have taken the most wins with an impressive 9 victories, with Thousand Sons, Orcs and Eldar close behind. The usual suspects, Sisters and Custodes, are doing well, with Necrons, Tyranids and Tau still performing. It really is the week of Chaos, with Pure Demon lists also having a good showing, alongside Chaos Space Marines, Thousand Sons and Death Guard, giving the forces of the Dark Gods a lot to be happy about. Having said that, there's a lot of factions achieved victories the past week with a very wide representation of armies. Great to see. Continue to show the strong week for the forces of Chaos. Chaos Space Marines have the most top 3 place finishes, with Demons coming in a close second. Again, we see the large variety of factions represented, with nearly every faction getting a top 3 place. We move on to tournament win rates for all factions, with the top 10 factions all having a win rate of over 50%. We still have Chaos on top with Thousand Sons, having an impressive 68.2% win rate, but this time Chaos Space Marines are not even in the top 10 with a win rate of 51.6%. This is strange considering they have the most top 3 finishes. Well, later on in the video, we will go over the Chaos Space Marine Legions so we can find out why. Here we have part 1 of the full army stats for a total of 23 declared factions. There are a lot of stats on this page, so you might want to pause the video so you see the stats for your favourite faction. It's time to give a special thanks to our resident stat guru and Ultramarine fanboy Fearless Fox for collecting and interpreting all the data. If you are enjoying our content, we'd be super grateful if you could please consider supporting us on Patreon to get access to our Discord server and PDFs of our weekly stats for you to download. I'd be most grateful if you consider subscribing to the channel, and if you think there's any improvements we can make to our videos, there are more stats you want to see, or you just want to add to the discussion, comment down below. Up next is my favourite part of the week, my weekly roundup. For our data set, we've taken the data from all tournaments on Best Coast pairings between Monday, the 21st of November 2022 and Sunday, the 27th of November 2022, including the small tournaments. So a lot of factions are represented in the top placings. If you want to see other data sets, such as only Grand Tournament results, let us know in the comments down below. Having said that, in my opinion, using all tournament data gives a great insight into how well an army is performing in Matchplay 40k, whether you're playing at your local store or at a GT. The Thousand Sons did very well this week, with a 68.2% win rate. Now, as it takes us a long time to collect and interpret the data, we don't look at individual army lists, we just take the declared factions of the player as the faction played. Therefore, we don't know whether these are pure Thousand Sons lists or whether they're mainly Thousand Sons with some Zeech allies in support. The Grey Knights struggled last week, with the lowest overall faction win rate of 39.5%. Even with the lower win rate, they managed to grab a tournament win and 4 top 3 places, so it's not all bad news for the Sons of Titan. Rather unsurprisingly, the Space Marines are the most played faction, with 13% of all players taking Space Marines and a whopping 575 total games played. Stay tuned for a chapter breakdown where you'll go over how the chapters are doing individually. The least played faction was Mixed Chaos lists, with only 1% of players choosing to combine forces. The players who did put in a good showing, with the second highest win rate of 62.2%. Only 10 players took a Mixed Chaos force, but I reckon they must have all been experienced tournament players based on how well these types of lists did, perhaps using the best of multiple Chaos factions. 20 factions won at least one tournament, with only World Eaters, Drukhari, and surprisingly Imperial Knights not winning a tournament. It is important to remember we take results for tournaments such as 8-player tournaments, so there is a lot of opportunities for a faction to get at least a top 3 placing. Taking this into account, it is even more surprising that Imperial Knights didn't win a tournament. The World Eaters were the only faction to not get a top 3 placing, showing a really tough week for them. I wouldn't be too concerned, however, as we know Angron himself will be gracing the tabletop in the not too distant future, alongside their own codex, which I'm sure will improve their stats. Up next, we have our Space Marine chapter breakdown. As you might expect, Space Marine Players usually always make their chapter of choice known, with only 10 players out of 167 where the sub-faction is unknown. The Glorious Sons of Sanguinius are the bulk of the Space Marines faction's data, with the Blood Angels having the most players, best win rate, most top threes, and the only tournament win for the Space Marines. Overall, however, the Space Marines are really struggling with an overall win percentage of 41.4%, and even the Blood Angels only just managing a 50% win rate. A special mention to Fearless's favourite Blue Boys, the Ultramarines, on a very impressive 28% win rate. No wonder he doesn't want to play my Blood Angels anymore. Seemingly, Chaos Space Marine players are not quite as dedicated to declaring their sub-faction as their loyalist brothers, with most Chaos Space Marine players' sub-faction being unknown. Of those known, the Emperor's Children are leading the way with a very impressive 69.3% win rate. Seeing as all the other declared warbands were unable to get above 50% win rate, it looks like the Emperor's Children are really helping Chaos Space Marines get the upper hand on their loyalist brothers. Remember, in the grim dance of the 41st millennium, there is only war. So next week we'll be back with more stats. Thank you for watching.